Okay, so today we're going to go over Saber. Now, I don't tend to do third-party plugins that you have to buy. However, this one is a free plugin and is something that's become very commonplace with a lot of motion graphic designers. It's a Video Copilot third-party plugin, absolutely free. There's a link in the description below. So if you don't have Saber installed, you'll need to do that now and then come back and finish up this tutorial. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to create a new composition. Our comp size is going to be 1920 by 1080. Whenever you use Saber, it has to be applied to a solid. The solid needs to be the same size as your comp. We're just going to call this Saber and just click OK. Command or Control Y to create a solid. I'm going to call this Saber Text. Hit OK. And then we want to go up to Effect, and it's going to be in your Video Copilot folder, Saber. Okay, so if you open up this customized core here, you can see the core type defaults to Saber. So what that's doing is it's just applying the Saber effect to the solid. If you open that up, you can see it also applies to layer masks and text layer. So we're going to do all three of these just so you have an idea of how to use this plugin. Let's click text layer. So let's create some text. Command or Control T. And then we want to hold down Command or Control and double click your pan around tool to center your anchor point. Go to our line panel and just align that to the center. Going back to our Saber text solid, we have our core type, again, set to text layer. Now we have to tell it which text layer. Just choose the one we created. Decrease the core size. I'll go down to 1. You can see there it is. And if we pull our text layer underneath our Saber layer, we can see that it's an outline effect. So I'm going to turn off my text layer for now. If I go over to our project, I've got this abstract kind of background. It looks like that. I'm going to pull this underneath. So as right now, you can't see the background through the effect. There are a few ways around that. One way is you can change your track mode from normal to either screen, or if you choose add instead, it has a slightly different look. So you can see the differences between add or screen. Now I'm going to set this back to normal because I'm going to show you another way. If you open up your render settings, you can change your composite settings from black to transparent. So either one of those ways will work. I'm going to put mine back to black, and I'm going to change my track mode to add. For now, I'm going to turn off this background layer, and I just want to show you real quick under presets, this is the default look. Now you have all of these other presets. You can go through these on your own. You need to tweak these 4 settings right here, the glow intensity, spread, bias, and core size, in order to see your text, because they all interact with text in a different way. Sometimes it's easy to make some tweaks and you can kind of see through them. Sometimes it takes a little bit more work. Just kind of play around with some of these settings right here to really kind of get the look that you're going for. I like to use neon. You can change your color to anything you want. I'll make it maybe a blue. And I'm going to change some of these settings right here. We'll make this 1.2. I want to change my glow intensity, we'll say to 70%. Glow spread to 0.75. And our glow bias to 0.2. Now there are a lot of settings for Saber. I just want to show you some of the things you can do to use this effect very quickly and in a way that can make your text animation look really, really cool. Put a keyframe for end offset, hit U to bring up that keyframe. I want to move that down to maybe, we'll say about 2.5 seconds. And this changes the end offset to 0% at the beginning. Going to right click and keyframe assistant, easy ease in, and just kind of pull this handle over. And if we just watch that play back, you can see how it's going to animate on. Now you can animate your text using your transform properties or text animators. Let me take this effect off real quick. We'll just set this to 100%. Whatever you do to this text layer here, let's bring up our position, and I'm going to keyframe a really quick animation here, something very basic. As you can see, the effect will follow some transform properties. The only transform property it does not work with is your opacity. If I bring up my opacity, I set this down to 0, it does nothing to the Saber text layer, but it will follow position. I'll put this back to the middle. If you open up your scale, you can change that to 250%. As you can see, it follows that. Rotation, you can see that it's going to follow that. So Saber will recognize position, rotation, and scale animations. Like I said, it will also recognize text animators. So if we open up our text layer real quick, and I'm not going to do anything fancy. I have a ton of tutorials using text animators. So if you're interested in that, check out some of my other tutorials. Let's just add in this. And as you can see, if I move this position down, it does affect Saber. Again, the only one it doesn't really work with is opacity, and that can kind of become an issue if you're trying to animate something that doesn't come from off screen. But we're going to use the animation within Saber itself. So I'm going to do this end offset animation again, put 100% here. The first keyframe should be at 0. And then I'm going to right click this second keyframe, easy ease in, and just make that come in fast. So again, we have this kind of animation. There's not really a way to animate one letter at a time. It's going to animate everything in at once. You can increase the core size and keyframe that down to get a different kind of look. But just keep in mind, the main thing you're going to be able to do with Saber is this kind of an animation. There are 3 ways to apply Saber. We just did the text version under custom core size. We also have Saber and layer masks. So let's do a layer mask. So we need to add another solid, and we want to call this Saber mask. I'm going to grab my rectangle tool here, and I'm just going to draw a rectangle right in here. Let's go up to Effect, and Saber was the last effect I chose, so I can choose it right here. And open up Customize Core, Saber, Layer Mask. It's applying the effect to the layer where the mask is located. Notice with our Saber text, you have to add a solid in order to assign that to a text layer. If you use layer mask, you can put the mask right on the solid that you're using for Saber. And again, we have to change our track mode. I'm going to change that to add. And I'm just going to make some adjustments to our Saber settings. So we'll change this to 70%. Glow spread, we'll leave it 0.5. Glow bias, we'll say maybe 0.25. Core size, we'll make that 2. And again, if we turn on our background, you can see that you can now see through it. There's one other way to apply Saber to a layer. So we're going to do one more solid. So new solid. And we're going to call this just Saber and hit OK. So go back up to Effect. Again, choose Saber. And we're just going to leave this Customize Core at Saber. And now you can move these handles using your core start and core end. Let's go ahead and change this to add. Our track mode, and you can kind of move this around to kind of get about where you want it. But now we need to tweak and get some settings perfect. So we want our core start and end, the Y value to be exactly the same. By luck, I got it exactly the same, 804. Start, we'll leave that at 480. We want the end to be the same distance from the end of our composition, 1920 minus 480, and that will center it up perfectly. Now we have this animation on our text. Now that we already have that animation, we can select it, copy, and then just highlight these other 2 Saber layers. Make sure you're at the beginning of the animation and just Command or Control V to paste it. And it will paste right on top of those layers and you get the same exact kind of animation. Enable my background so you can kind of see how it's going to interact with the background layer. Okay, so now I'm going to show you some cool things that you can do, and this applies to most other effects. On our top Saber layer, open up this flicker. Now, if we change the flicker intensity to say maybe 15%, this is going to give it a little bit of a pulse. So I'm going to solo that, and you can kind of see how it kind of has a little bit of a pulse to it. Here, let me extend this down. So if we watch that play back, you can see it kind of has that little bit of a pulse. Now, if I want everything to pulse in the same way, one easy way of doing that is to parent those values. So if we select all 3 of these layers, go to your find box here and type in flicker, and it will reveal your flicker settings. So see, we have this set to 15. I'm just going to parent this up to intensity 15, intensity 15. So now they all have the same exact flicker speed. And then I also want to be able to control the color of my core. And a quick way to do that is if you go to Layer, New Adjustment Layer, we want to call this Color Control. I'm going to go up to Effect, Expression Controls, Color Control. Again, select all of our Saber layers and type in Color. Just go back to our Color Control layer here and let's make sure you lock that down so that way you can click away and it will remain up there. So now we can take our color setting on our Saber layer and just pick whip that up to there. And as you can see, it changed the color to red. And you can either do that with both of these layers, or you can right click on Glow Color, copy expression, and then just paste that on these other glow colors. So the cool thing about that is now you can change this color from the color control and it will apply to everything. My glow here is a little bit intense. So let's go back to our Saber text here, and maybe you have to unlock this effect so that way you can see these other effects. I want to kind of tweak this so that way it's not quite so bright. Maybe we'll bring down our core size a bit, 1.5. So again, you just have to kind of tweak with some of these settings to get the right look that you're going for. Okay, I'm going to go back to color control and maybe pick like a blue. So now if we watch this playback, we can see that all of our layers animate in the same way using that end offset. I'm going to come back in the next episode and show you how you can animate this using a camera and changing some layers to 3D. But for this tutorial, the main thing I wanted to go over was how to apply Saber. The main takeaways are there are 3 ways to apply Saber to a layer. It would be under your customized core, either Saber, layer mask, or text layer. If you're applying Saber to a text layer, you have to apply a separate solid. Saber always has to be applied to a solid. And then you assign that text layer right underneath core type. You can also apply it to a mask. That mask is going to be applied directly to the solid and just change your core type to layer masks. Or if you just want to use Saber by itself, you can always do that. And the controls for where that goes is right here on core start and core end. In the next tutorial, we'll take what we've learned and integrate it into a 3D environment. We'll be adding a camera as well as tweaking our background and moving some stuff around to get a really cool Saber animation. Trust me, you don't want to miss that episode. I want to thank Envato Elements for sponsoring this episode and also thank my viewers for making this sponsorship possible. For designers, editors, and animators, Envato Elements is an amazing resource. With your membership, you can download unlimited assets for anything you could possibly want or need for your projects. Get access to high-res stock videos and photos, as well as motion graphic templates for titles, video displays, logo animations, lower thirds, infographics, promos, openers, and so much more. You also get access to backgrounds, textures, patterns, and icons, which we all know are vital resources. You get access to music for your sound beds in virtually any style or genre you can possibly imagine for designing the perfect sound for your projects. Speaking of sound design, you have access to Envato Elements' entire sound effects database, which includes any sound you could possibly need or want for anything from short film production to commercials to logo stingers. Every asset comes with commercial and non-commercial licensing at no extra cost, so both you and your clients can produce amazing projects with peace of mind. And again, with your membership, you get unlimited downloads of all of these assets from Envato Elements. Download as much as you want, as often as you want, without ever having to pay for individual projects or files. Check out Envato Elements from the link in the description below and get 70% off the first month. That means you have access to everything from Envato Elements for less than $10. It's an unbelievable deal, and I highly recommend you check it out. I hope this tutorial helped you out and that you learned something new and useful. Make sure to come back next time for another tutorial that will expand your knowledge of After Effects while also teaching you some really cool tips, tricks, and shortcuts. Please comment, like, share, and subscribe, and click the bell so you're notified every time I upload a new video. Support our channel by getting your 7-minute AE merch today at our online store. And sign up for my Udemy course, The Power of Shape Layers. It's guaranteed to make you a Shape Layer Rockstar. The link to that course, to our 7-minute AE store, and the project files for this episode are all in the description below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.